Hi, it's Chris Rue here, and I'm really looking forward to helping you become the leader that you want to be. So in our last chat, I discussed the principle of emotions are, and the question of where did you learn that emotion? This time, you will learn about a way to harness the energy of emotions and passion that people exhibit in meetings without disrupting the flow and, in fact, speeding up the meeting process. This to get the best out of your team with responses to ideas and proposals without squashing and repressing that energy and taking them out of existence in our meetings. I mentioned the story of the leader who heard or even adopted the phrase, now let's not get emotional here, or let's not let emotions get in the way. And we talked about that dilemma. That you want people to speak their mind at meetings and get passionately engaged in the aims and ambitions and the purpose of the team. But can we do that without talking over each other all the time, getting cross with each other and defending our own turf, just to prove we were right? And take the meeting off down a road that the facilitator or chair did not wish to go down? Why is it that 2 hours down the road there's still so much agenda left at the end of the meeting? It certainly speaks to the idea of, as a leader, trying to keep the lid on a timescale that is going off the rails. There is a strategy of trying to keep your emotions in check in the past, and even go as far as admonishment of some sort, putting people down if they have any kind of passionate response. This has been a strategy people have tried to apply. It doesn't really work that well, you just feel repressed. Get cross about that. So, as a leader, what can you do to help here? Now, there are new practices I alluded to before about next generation leadership emerging as people step into this world of distributed leadership. And I wanted to explore a couple of them now. A simple start in the meeting is simply to listen out and welcome these emotional responses. If you are encountering an emotional response, rather than put that person down, inquire precisely what is the issue that they have with whatever is being proposed or discussed. So the idea here simply is don't walk away from it, but sort of walk into it. Be emotionally aware and present with it. Chris, that's all very well, but I don't want my meetings to turn into therapy sessions. And of course you don't. So is there something more structured that we could do? Well, there is, but what I am suggesting is that you consider your 4 levels of listening. We expand on those in our Resilient Leader training, but suffice to say at this point that leaders need to listen not just to the content of what is being discussed, but the tone, the subtone and the spirit of what is being discussed. Tailoring responses as a leader becomes essential. Now, next generation teams are also adopting some interesting and new ways of harnessing the power of emotional reaction in meetings, whilst at the same time improving the speed and quality of those meetings, and not allowing conversations to descend into emotional tit-for-tat conversations between two people, which can go on for 10 minutes. I'm sure we've all been there, or the rest of us are looking on. A useful principle that can be used as a start of a 10 can help here. And that involves setting some simple ground rules for running your meetings. One of the main ones is aimed at removing the problem of crosstalk. How to make sure no one interrupts another or talks over anyone else. This is building on the idea of separating out your emotional reaction to something from your rational objection to something. And this is an attempt to firstly acknowledge and gain the benefit that you've had a reaction to it, but not to cloud your rational response with the heat of that emotion. How do you do that? You have a couple of ground rules as part of a simple process, really. In relation to a proposal that is being put forward, as the leader, you can set out the methodology for interrogating it. My recommendation is to simply set up 2 separate rounds of dialogue from your team in response to the proposal going round the room. The overarching rule is that as each member of the team is speaking, no one else can crucially interrupt, nor can they comment or judge what's being said. Why is this crucial? Because the oil that fans the flames in meetings going off track and taking a great deal of time is in the emotional back and forth that can take place when one person reacts to the other. Well, I don't agree with what you've just said. I think it's Y. And he's saying X. And X justifies his position and Y responds and X goes back and it goes on and on and on. All of this around one subject that proceeds to get everyone else in the team wrapped up around it and hijacks the meeting. The process then, with the proposal in mind, is simply to give each person the stage for their emotional response for the proposal, but with no crosstalk. As we go around the table, we might find the first person say, no, I've got no issue with that proposal. The next person say, no problem. The third then says, well, it causes me a problem. I can't see why we're doing it, and it will certainly cause me a resource issue. It really makes me cross. My guys are already overloaded, and I cannot give that to somebody else. It's a daft idea. It makes you really, really cross. Interestingly, even the toughest rant is unlikely to go on much past 30 seconds, because without other people agreeing, restating positions, adding their own emotional responses, there is no immediate fuel to escalate that emotion reaction. So as a chair, you just thank that person for their response and move on to the next person, asking what is their reaction to the proposal, not to what was just said. They may go on and say, well, actually, I don't have a problem with it either. And someone else may say, I have no problem. Someone else may say, no, I think it's also a waste of time. It's going to cause this issue for me. And there you've completed your first round. Now, while it sounds laboured, it actually takes very little time. But you've now identified two people who have got an issue. So we move on to the second round. And in this round, we go around again. But this time, ask what is your specific objection to the proposal? The only question that anyone else could ask at this point would be a clarifying question. For example, what do you mean it would be a waste of time? As this second round of answering the what's your specific objection question does not fall immediately after the emotional response, for most people they will have had time to think about their response and what their real objection is. So in this second round, again, usually no more than a minute is taken to identify what specifically are the objections. The proposer then has an opportunity, having heard the objections, to offer a remedy or agree to resubmit the proposals, having considered how to address these objections. Note there is an implicit expectation that a solution can be found. Rather than someone having to justify their original position on the proposal, this has a far more positively focused aim to the approach that in an older style was a more adversarial one. There are many builds and expansions on these next generation meeting processes, which I will pick up another time, but hopefully you can see how this welcomes the information from emotional responses, but also harnesses its energy in a positive way. When you give space to people to have a reaction to a proposal by literally asking the question of the group and waiting for your answer, you will find a treasure trove of information that will inform your proposals along with the engagement opportunities you're also creating. You can start applying this now. Perhaps you have a meeting initiative coming up that you know is going to be a little bit contentious, but you want to create a way of exploring the subject matter while keeping the meeting moving forward. Equally, you may have a simple proposal someone wants to put to the group that you could try this out with. So just remember the key principles. Number 1, no crosstalk. Number 2, each person is given their space. No one can interrupt or respond directly to what is being said by one individual. Number 3, the only question you can ask is a clarifying one, i.e. a question designed to help you understand what they are saying, not to comment on it. Number 4, then let the proposer answer where possible the identified objections and offer any remedy or action to address the objections. As a final thought, a supplementary round is often held in next generation meetings where the question is asked, what do you need? A simple but really powerful enabling question that can follow on nicely from the above to effectively ask what does the proposer need to help achieve their goals and to develop or apply any modification necessary for the proposal. So tell someone you're doing this, and obviously inform your team, and ask for feedback from the team regarding this approach, and refine it based upon what they say. In terms of benefits, you'll be able to harness the information embedded in the emotional responses as well as the rational objections, and you will improve the efficiency of your meetings and uncover much more items more specifically. You will cover more ground. You will be encouraging greater ownership by individuals of the tasks and goals under consideration. So there's just 3 benefits. So let me know how you get on with it. I'd love to hear how it works for you. If you found this helpful and would like to learn more leadership tips and techniques, then click the link below to get my free leadership training, to be found on chrisrue.com, where I'm sharing a few of my tools and techniques I've picked up over the years that will enable you to become a more resilient and effective leader. In the meantime, let me thank you for watching. I wish you luck going forward with your leadership challenges, and thank you for letting me help you become the leader that you want to be. Bye for now.